Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to the SHC Division of Business podcast. This is your host, Ethan Sisk, and today we'll be featuring Lindsey Weems, the co-founder of V Corporate. In today's episode, we'll be covering what Ms. Weems does for her clients, what led her to start her own accounting and bookkeeping firm, and the treasures of having a CPA license. Thank you so much for joining me, Ms. Weems.
Absolutely.
Can you give us a little backstory on yourself and what do you do?
Yes. So I'm a CPA, and we started V Corporate Accounting and Advisory Services 4 years ago. Background, when I graduated from Spring Hill, went into public accounting for 4 years and took a short break coaching girls basketball for 6 years, and then went back into accounting and industry after we started our family. And so
Nice. You also played basketball at Spring Hill.
I did.
We have that in common. I'm on the JV team here.
Oh,
so,
great.
Not the varsity, but it's great. It kind of keeps me oriented with the studies and my head on straight.
That's right.
So I'm very grateful that they have the JV program. Did basketball bring you to Spring Hill?
It did, yes.
Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Mobile.
Okay.
Right across the street, Dolphin Street. So, grew up, as a child playing tennis on campus and things, and never really considered going to college here. But yes, playing basketball, had an opportunity, and just fell in love with campus when I kind of transitioned from, being a Mobilian and knowing Spring Hill's here in the backyard to going to college, and then just appreciating all the things that Spring Hill brings to our community.
Did you live on campus or did you stay at home? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, when you were referencing some of the new halls and things like that, I'll admit I did not know any of the buildings you were talking about.
Yeah, New Hall is really new, but I'm sure Mobile and...
Yeah, that was, we had the Badgers then back there, the tennis courts as well. Yeah, so it was a little bit different, but really loved what campus has transformed into.
Yeah, and they just got a grant for a new nursing building.
Fantastic.
So they're putting that, I don't know really where yet on campus, but it'll be a good piece wherever it is.
Right.
You were also inducted in the Basketball Hall of Fame?
I was,
or Athletic Hall of Fame at Spring Hill?
I was, yes.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
How was your career like as a player?
Oh, it was up and down. We came in, had a really strong group. Freshman, sophomore year, played with an All-American, Mika Martin, and several other fantastic players who were great mentors to me, as a young freshman, sophomore. And then my junior year, Coach Terry Fowler took the reins as head coach and establishing a new program. It was a little rocky year, to say the least. We were 8-23. And but really put the pieces in place for a solid senior year, which we won conference and went to the national tournament. So
wow,
it was a pretty cool ride. Yeah.
And you got into coaching too?
I did.
That was at McGill.
Yeah, actually, when I was here, again, I did the 5-year MBA program.
Okay.
And so St. Paul's needed an assistant coach. Well, of course, that's right here in our backyard. So when I was finishing my master's, I did an assistant coach at St. Paul's and got the head coaching job at UMS, and that was after 9/11. So graduated, 9/11 hit, and that was kind of when I was questioning, is this really what I want to do? And just trying to stay open to what God was calling me to do, and decided to go coach for a few years.
And then right after coaching, you got into the CPA?
Then I went back to accounting.
Certified Public Accountant?
So I got my CPA license before I went into coaching.
Okay.
And so I maintained it, and then when we started a family, I went back and had an opportunity with a great engineering firm here in Mobile. So
the CPA is needed to do any accounting work at all?
Not any accounting work.
I mean, I guess to be hired as an accountant.
So to be certified, which, there's certain requirements where you're going to have a CPA, whether it's sign your tax returns or prepare financial statements. But, you can do a lot of accounting work with accounting degree. Or in our case, I've hired several, people who I'm teaching them, the basic bookkeeping. And so it's great work. It's flexible. And, really have found great value in supporting our clients.
Someone once told me a great phrase. It's that you either learn how to count your money or you pay someone to count your money.
That's good. That's true.
You can't get away from it.
That's right.
How often do you have to renew your CPA?
So every year you have to do
Every
40
year.
hours of CPE. Yeah, you got to do CPE.
Continuing education.
Correct.
Because I just got my real estate license, and
Okay.
it's every 2 that you have to go in for another course.
Yep.
So from the CPA, then you have 15 years of experience working with business development and
I do,
helping?
yeah. So when I went working with the engineering firm,
okay.
like I said, it was a great company. They were growing, opening several offices, and I worked alongside our CFO, who was a good friend of mine. You know, we went to high school together, and just got to really dive into a lot of the business plans when we were opening those offices. We started 2 nonprofits. An ESOP, which is an employee stock ownership plan. So I was very heavily involved in the valuation process.
Yes.
And just, loved all things business management side.
The ESOPs can also be used to buy companies?
So that's basically the company's stock.
Yes, but like the
employees own it. Correct.
So then that can be used in like acquisitions?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So was the business development, was it all with the same company, just growing the branches?
That's right, yeah. So while I was there through that growth process, we had some reorganization, and a lot of the work I was doing under the finance and accounting team, transitioned because we started a formal business development group. So a lot of the business plans and growth planning fell under our VP of business development.
So you got to make some entrepreneurial decisions and figuring that out?
I would say advising at the
okay.
time. Yeah, got to attend several board meetings and present those plans to the board. And like I said, it was in accounting, if you're presenting numbers, it's one thing to understand the numbers, but when you're presenting them to engineers, they're very detail oriented. They know numbers. So I feel like they made me better in every way.
Did seeing the growth there and knowing that it was possible, did that give you inspiration to start V Corporate, your now firm?
Absolutely. I feel like the leadership there, very entrepreneurial spirit, and the president, Ralph Hargrove, was just one of my great mentors, and several others that I worked for. And, the way they built that company, supporting the employees, was an inspiration to me, wanting to try to do something similar where you can really impact your employees and the families of your employees. And so we're just scratching the surface, getting started, but hopefully one day, we'll be able to make a similar impact.
You co-founded it in 2020?
I did, yes, with my cousin, who
awesome.
Is also a Spring Hill grad. And we, through COVID, we would walk and talk about different things. And of course, I was a CPA with that experience, and she had been doing bookkeeping for 25 years. And so together, we kind of can provide the full scope of accounting support services.
Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit more about what V Corporate really does?
Yeah, so, we've our model has changed a little bit with opportunities that have come to us. But we can provide, like I said, the basic bookkeeping from accounts payable, accounts receivable, reconciling the banks, bank statements, credit cards, to more of the advanced outsourced controller or CFO services for your medium-sized businesses that need a little bit more, experience in developing, whether it's a business plan or some, a pro forma for a bank for financing. So a lot of the smaller to medium-sized businesses don't have a CFO, and they don't need a full-time CFO. So it's something that they could hire me to come in part-time and work on a project. And that's what I love to do. Like I said, that's what I did in my former experience. And I feel like it's helping companies, grow and achieve.
Is it ever hard to leave a company once you complete a project for them successfully? Or
It is,
So you're like a contracted employee?
Yes, yes. So when we go in, and it depends on the need. The first client, it was, I knew this is what God wanted us to do when I put my notice in at Hargrove. I got a phone call that next Monday, and from some relationships who said, "Hey, we heard you're going out on your own. We need a CFO, but we don't really know what that means yet." And they're still a client today. So, and like I said, the word's getting out, and so we're getting phone calls and continuing to support.
That's great.
Yeah, businesses.
Are you looking for other accountants to join and help you? Or
In any business, we are absolutely. Had lunch with someone last week with great experience here, and loves to do similar work that I do. But it's that balance, right? We got to have the work to hire the accountants. We got to have the accountants to get the work. So we're learning that balance and just trying to manage that every day.
If there's space for new people, would you take on any SHC interns?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. I think that's fantastic, and I feel like one of the things that we want to do is really develop a culture. That
Local culture too is.
What's that?
A local culture.
Local, but also diverse. So different people bring different experiences. So
100%.
they don't necessarily have to be from Mobile.
Yeah.
And like I said, culture is important.
Mm-hmm. What is a tough interview question that you would ask a student who is applying to work for you?
Tough interview question. Now that's a tough question for me. One of the things that I think is important is just getting a feel for what's important to them. What's important to them for their 12 over the next 3 to 5 years, and what their goals are. And because I think that's important to make sure that it's a good fit, right? And so sometimes, and I would say accounting in particular, we're a small kind of boutique firm right here in Mobile. We don't do tax, we don't do audit work, so that's the niche that we do is very different and unique. So if someone's looking, and we were blessed with our accounting class here at Spring Hill. We've got the class that I graduated with doing amazing things at some of the all the larger firms around the country, and so I think one of the things is just making sure it's the right fit.
Definitely. The tagline for V Corporate is creating value through financial clarity.
Yes.
What was the inspiration and I guess word specification? What made you choose that?
Well, some of the work that we love to do is really providing value. So we went round and round on, what we do and how we can provide value. And again, going back to helping owners really understand their financials.
Yes.
We felt like that enhancing value through financial clarity, really, having clear financials to make decisions.
And one of the marketing classes I took, it talked about how many times and iterations companies, it takes to develop your mission statement. Can you attest to how
absolutely.
long a process it was?
Absolutely. I can remember several meetings. We'd bring it up. We'd change it. So it was, months of kind of, this is good. I think we even went with another one at one time. But then like I said, it's something that's you don't take for granted. When you see those on websites, people put a lot of time into those.
Definitely. But I love yours. It's clear and concise and gets the point across.
Thank you.
How much does the work requirements of a CFO change from a non-public company to a publicly traded company?
So that's going to be, publicly traded companies, they're going to have all kind of filings that they have to report. And I've never worked for a publicly traded company, so I couldn't even begin to list them.
Okay.
But, private companies, that's going to be, you're reporting to the boards or the management. And so that's, my background is providing those details. Every day they're trying to make decisions. And what you'll find a lot of times, especially the smaller, medium-sized businesses, is they don't always have good numbers to make those decisions from. And so, one of the things that I'm passionate about is just making sure they have all the information so that they can make good, clear decisions.
What is usually the part that the business is struggling when they have to go seek your help? Is there a kind of a recurring theme?
One of the things that we see is a lot of times entrepreneurs may not, they were really good at what they, whether it's construction or an electrician or, retail. They're really good at what they do. And so we kind of help, what we see recurring is just help translate the financials and educate them so that they can kind of take their business to that next level of maturity.
Okay.
Right? They're good at what they do. Now they've built a solid foundation. Now they need to understand the numbers so that they can take it to
So
the
you kind
next
of
step.
you help them make it make sense. And
That's right.
gotcha.
Yeah, and take the pressure off of them. Like you said, you can either learn to do it yourself or you can pay somebody to do it. Well,
Outsource.
a lot of times it doesn't make sense for someone who's really good at some trade to spend their time learning accounting when, their strength is doing this.
Yes.
So
How much more time is involved in working for a business compared to owning your own firm like you do now?
yeah, I think the biggest difference I would say is you don't ever really turn it off.
Yeah.
It's hard to turn off. And we laugh in the office because a lot of my best work is done at 2 a.m. when I wake up and I remember certain things. And, sometimes you have to get up and, pull the computer out and get it off your mind before you can go back to sleep.
Contextualize it.
Yeah. And, but you own it, and that's something that, as an entrepreneur, that is motivating to me.
Yeah. One thing also off the website is that it's a lot of mergers and acquisitions you're involved in.
Right.
I think that's like the coolest thing in business, really.
Yeah.
I've got a friend that's interning at a private equity firm, and he tells me all about the crazy stuff they do.
Right.
So is that one of the more exciting parts?
Absolutely. For me personally, yes. That's what I really enjoy doing. And, like I said, that's something that I think every business owner is looking to, again, have that value and understand what their value is. So if somebody were to approach them, to buy, what would that look like? So that is very exciting.
Yes.
And also to help arm them against some of the pitfalls, right? So they may be going down one track, and because we've got that experience, we can just at least educate them on, hey, what that could do to their value.
Because you've been there before, and you can.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
I know.
We're still relatively new, So, but we have enough experience to, educate them so that they can be ready for that day.
You said you have 5 kids?
5 kids, yeah.
Are any of them interested in accounting yet? I know they're younger ages.
They've all been strong in math, and so
we're gonna draft a team.
So that would be determined. I don't know. I've also encouraged engineering a lot. Like I said, my experience with the engineering firm, the work that they do is fascinating. So we'll see.
With the mergers and acquisitions, I know every case is different, but determining if acquisitions fit to happen, are the numbers pretty similar? Like, okay, so this lost profit is like a relatively good number. Is it like the same metrics for determining each?
As far as your financials go?
Yes.
One of the things that I feel that when companies really start looking at the EBITDA, they're going to be looking, they're looking at cash flow. And so when you're running a business, you're also looking at cash flow, but you may not be looking at it as hard as if you're looking at an acquisition. Because at the end of the day, that's what companies are looking for is how much cash and profit is that going to churn for the investors.
Just off the top of your head, what decreases cash flow the easiest?
Well, obviously your expenses for sure.
But like debt and
right.
Yeah.
So there's different ways to look at it. Some investors may not be debt averse, but debt's going to come off if you're doing your EBITDA calculation. The enterprise value is going to be reduced by any debt that you have on the books. But debt's not all bad because you got to be able to have that
leverage it.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of times companies are growing, so they may have a certain amount of debt, in order to support the working capital of the business.
In all of accounting, what would you say the hardest part is of working in the field?
I think the hardest part of accounting, I think, is anytime you're dealing with people's money, it's a real sensitive.
Yes.
And so and every client is different. And so being able to really understand the personalities of the business owner and the clients and talk to them in a way that is constructive. Some clients, are more open to criticism or more open to ideas than others. And so you just kind of have to be careful. And that's something it's difficult for me because I'm kind of open.
Yeah.
So I've had to really learn how to manage that.
So are you in somewhat of a disciplinary role? Because, like, businesses, like, they have their financials and you're telling them where they went wrong.
So, again, that's client to client. And one of the things that we've actually promoted is we can come in and almost be that bad guy, right? Where if you've had an accounting team who's been doing it one way and the owners, they may not know, really a better way, but having somebody from the outside come in and take a look at it, sometimes helps the culture of the company stay intact, and they just kind of say, well, this is what the consultants are seeing.
It's completely non-biased, too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We're trying to help them. We don't have really a stake in it, other than wanting to see them be successful.
Mm-hmm. And then the pay for you, is it commission based or is it job? I mean, how's it?
Yeah, that goes back to project by project for what I do. Typically when we come in, we'll set it up as an hourly rate until we really get in enough to know what the project looks like. And once we can define the scope of the project, we could usually, propose on a fixed price. The bookkeeping work generally gets to like a fixed monthly rate.
Okay.
But again, if we don't know the scope of the work, we'll go in an hourly rate initially.
So then when you're doing the bookkeeping, they just automatically send you all their transactions so you can see what needs to go where?
Yeah, the great thing with technology now, it's really...
It's all digitalized.
So many of the software platforms are cloud-based, so we can log in from our office. We do go to client offices a lot, so I feel like that FaceTime's important, in order to be part of that outsourced team, be able to sit down and get to talk with them. So we're in client offices, day in and day out.
Are all the companies you work with based out of Mobile?
No, we have one based out of Birmingham and one based out of Atlanta, and what we found is it's adding value to them as well because a lot of the rates that they're finding up there, we're able to provide some of those services at a lower rate from Mobile. So it's been a great opportunity, kind of branching out to the.
How did you find each other?
These were both referrals. One from a local CPA firm here in Mobile, who and one of the owners is from Mobile, and so they were talking and they recommended us. And then a relationship from Birmingham that, again, relationships.
They're everything.
Yeah.
How much networking is involved in getting customers or clients for you?
Yeah, we've done a lot of that, but I feel like my partner and I both are very involved in the community, and so again, it's never really officially turned off. Every conversation we have, even if I'm at the boys, baseball games or basketball games, you're always networking.
Mm-hmm.
So,
does a lot of networking come from the nonprofit boards you're on? I saw on your LinkedIn that the nonprofits you're involved with.
Yeah, ironically, that's always a great way to get involved in the community. Excuse me, there I go. And so, being able to work with people at that level for a good cause is great networking.
Which boards are you involved with?
Right now, just Goodwill, and I'm trying to think because I just rolled off a couple. So, but that's the one that I'm most active in right now.
Back in the summer, my grandfather told me that, like, it's essential in developing your career to be on nonprofit boards because the networking and also, like, the service-orientedness is very attractive to employers.
Yes, it is, and I think it's just important for that well-rounded,
definitely.
Yeah, to build that community and that culture again.
Is there anything you'd recommend to students that are getting their feet wet in the accounting field?
Yeah, I think just stay open to, what God's calling you and the different strengths. Accounting, I think, just like anything, there's so many different avenues to pursue. And it may not always be, tax. It may not always be the audit work, although everything's important, I think, to get a good foundation. But just stay open to what opportunities may come your way.
I've got a friend here, and he's studying accounting, but he's trying to get on with one of the big four.
Yeah.
What is their Wilkins Miller? What are are you familiar with the four big accounting firms?
The KPMGs, and that's kind of going back to. I don't even know who they are anymore. So I know who they were when I was coming up.
It changes.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I think anytime you can get on with one of those, again, great experience. But if you don't be discouraged, because there's a lot of firms and a lot of great opportunities out there.
You said that, I feel like earlier you mentioned, maybe before we started recording, but that there's like a need for accountants.
Yes.
I find that kind of, just based on my friends at Spring Hill, I feel like a lot of people are studying accounting.
Really?
So
good.
I guess that's good for the field, but
yeah.
There's a shortage, you said?
Well, yes, and I feel like in a lot of different areas there's a shortage, but I think why that is, I don't know. I haven't done the study, but I do know that there's a lot of opportunities out there. So,
has there been like room for AI to take a share of accounting?
Yes, yeah, and that has happened. So we're the industry is, shifting a lot from, how they execute the work. So, in a good way.
What surprised you most when you first started your own, I guess, business?
What surprised me?
Yeah.
When you put together a business plan, and I've kind of always been of the nature that, I like to have control. I like to, you work hard, things are going to pay off. And I think when you're starting your own business, there's going to be surprises. And so what surprised me the most, I think, is where the opportunities come from. It's not necessarily going to be, this person, from that we're involved in, and this was our channel for opportunities. Again, I think it's just about being open to things that you may not expect. And then also enduring, the times where, okay, you expected this to happen and it didn't, or you expected to go down this trail, but this opportunity opened up. And so that's kind of some of the things that we saw, is that we had, a lot more opportunities in one area than we expected. But it was good. You just pivot and
stay afloat.
That's right. Go with it.
Is there like an ideal business you like to account for, or like an ideal industry?
Well, my partner and I both have a lot of experience in construction, and construction accounting is certainly different than, your typical than a standard business, mainly because of the job costing and things like that. So, but we like to stay, diverse in other areas.
Definitely.
Excuse me.
For a student like me that's not majoring in accounting, but I want to learn some knowledge in it, is there any sources you'd recommend to seek after?
With our bookkeepers, there's a lot of great online, accounting X's and O's or basics of accounting. QuickBooks has a great, just kind of basic learners that kind of takes you through the debits and credits. It's geared towards what QuickBooks Online does, but I think that's a good, solid, basic training program.
Sounds good. I'll look into it for sure.
Good.
There's a lot on YouTube I've found too of them, just people on a whiteboard walking you through
Absolutely.
some basics.
Yeah. Are you taking accounting classes?
I've already taken my two
that
I need for my major, but I definitely want to learn more in the field.
Right.
Going back to the quote that you either learn how to count your money or you pay someone to count your money.
That's right. And even if you're paying somebody, it's good to understand when they're talking to you.
Definitely.
So, yeah, I highly encourage it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I would like to personally thank everyone who tuned into this episode of the SHC Division of Business podcast. Our aim is to give young professionals insight into their desired field or potential job of choice. If you gain anything from this, or have any compassion whatsoever, please share with someone you see fit.